Hi everyone, welcome to the Document AI session. I'm Sudheera Vanguri and I lead the Language and DocAI product suite at Google Cloud. Today, I'm very glad to be joined by Nadia, a senior outbound product manager at Workday. A quick run through of the agenda today. I'll provide a brief overview of Document AI and how we convert documents into business ready structured data. We'll then dive into Workday's approach using DocAI to gain operational efficiency. So let's dive right in. For centuries, documents have been foundational to our societies. We record histories, establish laws, legitimize trade, launch companies, and confirm identities with documents. The computer age has introduced the idea of digital documents, which now serve as a backbone of our modern societies. The power and value of digital documents is immense. But for all the value that these documents have created, digital documents still require work, not only in creating them, but in processing these documents. Every company today processes digital documents. The size and burden will vary, as will the importance of those documents. But no company is able to escape the reality of what we call digital manual labor. If you're watching this session, you probably know what I'm talking about, but let me give you a few examples. Digital manual labor comprises the work that many of us do but almost never shows up in a job description. It is essential to the vast majority of today's business workflows, and it captures the value of data in those digital documents. It is also candidly a pain validating, checking, sorting, keying, copy pasting, normalizing, etc. And with the continued growth of digital workflows and digital transformation, we expect this burden to only grow. For example, as the healthcare industry has digitized, the ratio of healthcare administrators to physicians has grown 35x, representing the enormous and important work of ensuring that our healthcare records, prescriptions, pre authorizations, and medical bills, all documents, are processed properly. So let's talk about how we want to help our customers and their employees manage the toil of digital manual labor. Document AI represents Google's investment to bring the power of machine learning to processing documents. You may have even seen this slide before. In fact, we've shown this slide to hundreds of customers. And to be honest, sometimes their reaction is not very enthusiastic. And that's because many of them think that they've already solved this problem with other technologies. Awareness of the pain for digital manual labor is not new. For decades now, smart people have been working to capture structured data from digital documents. OCR, key value pair extraction, template based readers, and other technologies are now commonplace, even so far that the term OCR has become a shorthand for document extraction more generally. In short, if you tried digitizing documents, you probably used one or more of these or services that are built on them. But if you've tried using those technologies, you've probably realized that they aren't the full answer for most business workflows. While they do what they say with increasingly higher accuracy, they also create new kinds of digital work. Pre-processing, post-processing, rules management, and template management are new kinds of toilsome tasks that now often shift the burden to IT departments. The reason why these legacy technologies require supporting labor, manual labor, is because understanding a document is much more than reading a document. In order to properly understand a document, humans do much more than read words off the page. They bring knowledge of what the document is and what it should contain. They are able to interpret different structures and wordings. They can connect what they are reading to other data in the workflow or even from Google to make sense of it, and so on. It's actually an incredibly difficult task, one that is harder to automate than many expected. That's why with Document AI, we have made it our goal to turn documents into business ready structured data. As we work closely with our leading customers, we realize that the part of the problem is that legacy technologies are solving a problem that is too simple. Yes, you can get some structured data with a table parser, but we have heard that what customers are looking for is business ready structured data. In other words, they're looking for a technology that will read documents in ways similar to humans. They are looking for the confidence that when they start to automate processes, they are not signing themselves up to a different kind of digital manual work. When we say business ready, what do we mean? Of course, for each customer and each business process, the definition of business ready will vary. But as we have moved models into production with more and more customers, some consistent themes have emerged. At a high level, customers have asked for an end to end solution that is business ready for any document and business ready for any document workflow. Business readiness for any document means the DocAI can process a given document and deliver structured data that a customer can immediately trust and use. We have summarized this as four C's: consistent and accurate extraction, complemented with other data, cross border ready, and corrected as needed. I will spend the next few minutes covering what we mean by each of these. But solving the business problem doesn't end with understanding a single document. That is why we have three more C's, which speak to the importance of supporting the entire document workflow. The ability to custom build new processes for a wide range of new or long tail documents, the ability to comprehensively orchestrate and execute tasks across the document workflow, and the ability to constantly improve models. I will come back to these at the very end of our time. I want to spend some time going deeper into the first four C's that we mentioned about and how we can get business ready data from a DocAI processor. Again, these are those four C's: consistent and accurate extraction, complemented with other data, cross border ready, and corrected as needed. First, let's look at consistent and accurate extraction. One of the wonderful things about documents is that they start as blank slates. They can take on any structure or design. Of course, this is also what makes them hard to automate. But for any given document type, you may encounter a wide variety of formats, versions, concepts, words, etc. And humans are naturally able to make sense of these differences, but machines need special training. And that's why we are investing in what we call specialized parsers, machine learning models that are built specifically for any given document type. Here's a sample output from the Document AI console, and you'll see that the core schema, supplier name, supplier website, invoice ID, don't actually show up as text on the document anywhere. Instead, these are concepts that our models have been trained over thousands and thousands of samples to recognize and then find from one invoice to the next. And this can be especially powerful when there are, say, multiple addresses which belong to the supplier versus the receiver. Specialized processors can make these distinctions that are ultimately the difference between business ready data and more digital manual labor. As you may know, we have begun our journey with specialized processors focused on lending and procurement workflows. In fact, we are actively building towards a library of parsers for all the world's most commonly used business documents. And today, we are glad to announce our latest addition with Contract Doc AI, specialized document processors for what we call the most valuable documents on the planet. For more details, please check out the AI 100 session. We are also proud to announce that We're continuing to expand the lending.ai portfolio and now have about 50 specialized processors available for use. And there is much more in flight, which we will be rapidly releasing over the coming weeks and months. Okay, on to the next C, complemented with other data. This is something we are especially excited about. When the information is missing or ambiguous on a document, like a missing address or entity name, a human often needs to search for it, often on Google. With DocAI, we're bringing the power of Google search to help customers understand their documents. That means that the same Google Knowledge Graph that helps you find the name or address or phone number of a restaurant you want to go to can enrich your document extraction with the right name, address, or phone number. Here's a sample received from a colleague's trip to Europe. If he were filling out an expense report and needed to input merchant name, he might struggle to choose between some good options. Angelina, Angelina Paris, Angelina Rivoli. He might say take some time to go to Google and find the right entity name, that is Angelina Paris. Or he might guess and move on, potentially creating headaches for the finance team down the line. With Document AI, there is a better way. Our native integration with Google Knowledge Graph means that we can deliver both the specific text from the receipt as well as Google's best understanding of the actual name of the restaurant that operates at this address. Here's another example, and in this use case, the supplier address does not appear anywhere on the receipt, and this creates a choice of either extra work or potentially incomplete or inconsistent data. However, Google knows that the office depot in Los Gatos with this phone number is located at 15166 Los Gatos Boulevard. So DocAI is able to enrich this field, which would have otherwise been returned empty. We are very proud to announce that this Google Knowledge Graph integration is live with many of our core DocAI processors from procurement to lending. The extraction of information from invoices, receipts, bank statements, pay stubs, and more is now enriched with the power of Google's Knowledge Graph. And we are actively working to roll this capability out for all relevant fields across our entire portfolio of parsers. The next C is cross-border readiness, specifically the ability for companies to process documents in every language that they do business in. Few of our customers do business in only one country or language, and their doc processing workflows need to scale with them. And at Google, we have taken a two-pronged approach to this problem. First, we are building custom specialized processors for some documents in high volume languages, think Spanish invoices or French identity documents. And second, we're building on Google's long-standing leadership in machine translation by integrating translate capabilities directly into our specialized processors. This means that customers will get instant access to specialized doc processing in hundreds of languages. Here's an example of a French invoice, and again, you see the full benefits of schematized parsing as fields like supplier name and supplier address are extracted from the document, even though the field names themselves don't show up. As an aside, I want to quickly highlight the amount of work that has gone into the computer vision models underlying DocAI. It's no small feat to be able to read, say, the supplier address of a document of this quality. In addition to our specially trained models, our integration with Google Translate means that customers can now process documents in over 100 languages, all of those supported by the Google Cloud Translate service. Critically, while the specially trained models are of highest quality, the translate-based models have demonstrated minimal quality losses. We're also pleased to announce that many of these cross-border investments are now available to our customers, specifically procurement.ai. The procurement.ai team has specially trained additional models in 6 languages, primarily European ones. With procurement.ai, we have also integrated the translate pipeline into the invoice and expense parsers, expanding support to 100 plus languages. This feature is in preview today and is also actively being rolled out to all relevant specialized parsers in future. The fourth and final C for today is corrected as needed. This highlights the reality that for many workflows, we will always need humans involved to some degree. And while we can ease the burden of digital manual labor, we still need humans to be the final reviewers of critical and challenging doc processing steps. Our reviewer interface brings the intuitiveness and the simplicity of Google interface design into the hands of doc reviewers. And we display the document alongside the structured data extraction, highlight areas that need more attention, enable easy and on-document corrections, and much more. DocAI then returns both the original and updated data as part of the JSON output. As customers grow their doc processing operations, it is essential that they are able to deftly manage the wide range of settings and priorities and tasks and resources that they oversee. And that is why we've built the manager interface as a control panel for all of these needs. And this is directly integrated into the DocAI section on the GCP console. We are now glad to announce that the full range of human-in-the-loop functionality described below is now fully available for lending DocAI, expanding the coverage that already existed with procurement DocAI. We are aiming to make this fully available for all of our doc parsers, not only for extraction, but also for splitting and classification. To recap, here are the summary of all the new announcements that we've made today. With procurement.ai, we have Google Knowledge Graph integration in GA. We have custom trained models for high volume models in GA. We have translate integration in preview. We have the lending.ai with 6 new GA parsers and 30 more in preview. We have contract.ai now available in preview. We have Google Knowledge Graph integration available on lending.ai, and we have human in the loop integration also available in GA for lending.ai. We also have expanded language support for procurement.ai. For the last 10 minutes, we have walked through many investments we're making in improving document processing workflows. And we realized that for our enterprise customers, these workflows are almost always a part of a larger business workflow: procure to pay, expense to reimburse, borrower qualification, insurance policy underwriting, and so on. And that's why we are proud to work with ISV and SaaS companies that are leaders in helping customers execute these business workflows. One fantastic example of this is our collaboration with Workday, who has been pioneering the very use of document AI to reduce digital manual labor in daily business workflows. Today, I'm very glad to be joined by Nadia, a senior outbound product manager at Workday. Nadia has been a fantastic collaborator and thought partner for Document AI, and I'm very excited for you to see how she and her team have brought the best of Doc AI into the hands of their users. I'm glad to introduce Nadia to tell us more about their journey.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nadia Aqsa. I'm the outbound product manager for Workday Expenses, and I'm so excited to be here today. In the 5 years that I've been with Workday Expenses, I don't think I've ever met a customer that has not asked how we are driving operational efficiency through machine learning. Whether it's OCR or intelligent insights, automation is top of mind for our 1,350 plus expenses customers. Today, I'll be sharing a little bit about what we've been able to accomplish with the help of DocAI, and more excitingly, where we are headed next. But before we go any further, let me tell you a little bit about Workday. Our mission is to deliver value through our enterprise management cloud that brings financial management, spend management, human capital management, and analytics together in a single cloud. Our vision for the travel and expense solution is to put the employee at the center of a touchless experience by eliminating manual entry and cumbersome review and approval processes. Earlier this year, Workday combined Google Cloud's procurement DocAI solution with our own document processing machine learning models to deliver an elevated experience for our customers. These customers can now scan receipts in 5 languages and have the most pertinent details auto-populated for them. With 98% of Workday Expenses customers either creating or editing expenses on Workday Mobile in the past year, this update made a lot of people very happy. Let's take a quick look at the receipt scanning in action. We are in a demo environment and we're going to use the expense receipt scanning service powered by Google to scan a receipt for our user Dagmar, who is an office administrator in Germany. For the sake of this demo, I have switched her preferred language to English. Dagmar went to a local print shop to copy documents, and she saved the photo of the receipt on her mobile device. She clicks the scan receipt option, which takes her to her photo album. From there, she selects the receipt that she wants to upload. The scan process is kicked off, and it only takes a few seconds to complete. Now that the scan is completed, let's take a closer look. On the receipt, we see that the merchant is not mentioned. We see the merchant address, we see the date, we also see the amount as well as a currency. Now let's scroll down further. The date, amount, as well as currency are populated as expected. And to our surprise, the Google Knowledge Graph used the merchant's address to derive the merchant name. How cool is that? That's definitely going to save her time. To complete the expense report submission, Dagmar will need to select an expense item. And I know what you're thinking, Workday, when will you default the expense item for her? Well, that's something that we're working on right now, and we hope to release it very soon. At this point, Dagmar can go ahead and select the expense and add it to her expense report.
All right. Hopefully, you were also just as impressed with the magic of the knowledge graph. It's going to continue to be instrumental towards delivering a differentiated experience for our customers. Now, some of you may be wondering why this is even a big deal. I mean, you saw that we scanned a few fields that could probably be entered manually pretty quickly. And if you're thinking that way, that's okay. I've had to explain this before, so let me use a few numbers to do the same thing. In 2019, so pre-COVID era, our customers uploaded 27 million expense receipts into Workday. If the manual receipt entry on average takes about 3 minutes, that is 1.35 million hours of time spent doing tedious tasks that adds no real business value. And post COVID, we actually expect this number to be even higher. Also, keep in mind that people are not hired to do expenses. And as an expenses PM, I will be the first to admit that no one even enjoys doing expenses. So, in other words, in this day and age, no one should have to enter expense receipts manually because that time is better spent on doing value added work. I hope this helps you understand why we are so excited about this. And with the help of the procurement DocAI solution, we expect to save customers hundreds and thousands of hours and enable them to get back to doing their real jobs. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming up next for us in relation to DocAI. By the end of this year, our customers will be able to scan receipts in 100 plus languages. And although that itself is a giant leap forward, we are not stopping there. We're looking at a number of opportunities to create a touchless expense entry experience, and I want to share a couple of examples with you. We will support fields that are handwritten. So, for example, you have a meal receipt that has a tip that's been handwritten. We'll be able to scan that and auto populate that for the user so that they don't have to worry about entering that manually. In addition, we'll be scanning additional fields such as a record locator that's often found on a trip itinerary. And what that will help Workday do is to use that as a unique identifier and link that to an existing credit card transaction that's already been imported into Workday to accurately match the two so that the user does not have to worry about that. These enhancements and many more will further reduce the burden of manual entry and simplify expense submission for our users. In addition, I want to mention that aside from expense submitters, approvers and reviewers are also two key additional players in the expense to reimburse process. Today, many of our customers painstakingly review expenses line by line, and they do this to identify items that may be out of policy or incorrectly coded. With the help of Procurement DocAI, Workday will be able to provide additional intelligent insights that will help the approver and reviewer reduce the time that it takes to get through that process. And that in turn will reduce the time to reimbursement because everyone wants to get their money ASAP, right? So, how are we going to do this?
Well, the Google Knowledge Graph will help us identify the category that a business establishment belongs to. And this information will help determine if the expense is reimbursable. So, for example, you have an employee that goes to an adult entertainment club and expenses that transaction as a meal. That does happen, believe me. So we will take that insight about the business establishment and that's provided by the Google Knowledge Graph, and we will flag that expense for the reviewer so that they are able to make an informed decision on whether or not that expense should be reimbursed. Another common problem that approvers and reviewers run into is ensuring that the receipt is itemized so that it satisfies the requirements of their back office audit teams. With the help of DocAI, we will plan to determine if the receipt is in the format and has a content that satisfies the criteria for valid documents. Now, Workday is also looking at DocAI for supplier invoices and contract scanning to improve document understanding and enable users to make better decisions more quickly. Our customers are incredibly excited for what's to come, and I want to thank Sudheera and the DocAI team for the invaluable work that they've been doing. That's it from me. Now over to Sudheera.
Thank you so much, Nadia. We couldn't be more excited about what you are building and how it will help people with the work they're doing every single day. We spent most of our time today looking at how DocAI can take a given document and extract business ready structured data, and specifically how this comes to life with receipts and expenses at Workday. Before we go, I want to spend just a minute on last three C's. These are investments we are making in DocAI that will ensure that customers' document workflows are business ready as well. Custom processors reflect the reality that many customers will need to process proprietary or less common documents in addition to those for which there are specialized parsers. And we want to make it easy for those customers as well to quickly build high value, high quality processors that work perfectly well alongside the rest of the DocAI processors. Comprehensiveness refers to the need to address more than just the document extraction and review, and there are many challenges upstream and downstream in the document workflow, and we want to help customers solve those too. And finally, we want to make sure the DocAI is getting more and more helpful as you work with it more. Not only are we committed to constant improvements in our underlying models, but we also want to allow our customers to improve upon them for their specific domains. Here are a few highlights of the things we're working on related to these areas. While we didn't have the time to go into all of these exciting details today, we look forward to sharing more with you as we continue our journey and perhaps at next 2022. With that, here are a few ways that you can learn more and even get hands-on with DocAI. And please get in touch with us via your Google Cloud contacts or directly at docai-external@google.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to working with you all on all of your document-related challenges.